welcome to the very first real episode of Banjo Quest. No introductory mumbo jumbo. Today we are putting our hands on the banjos and we're going to make some noise, hopefully more than noise. First few items of business. Thank you to all of those patrons, my patrons, who funded my Patreon campaign yesterday. I pushed the Make It Live button on Patreon and the floodgates opened. So thank you so much for doing that. Second order of business is more Patreon stuff. And I promise I'm not going to turn every Banjo Quest episode into a Patreon infomercial, but allow me to get the word out in my first couple of episodes. Basic Banjo Quest stuff is going to remain free. The basic experience is going to be free. So don't worry if you can't or don't want to jump on the Patreon campaign. But if you are looking for a richer experience with Banjo Quest with lots of supplemental materials, including tablature written by me for every lesson, MP3 downloads, and tons of other goodies, not to mention just being with a crew of super cool, nice folks who just all want everybody to get better at the banjo together, jump on over to Patreon, enrich your experience with Banjo Quest, and join me over there. I'm really excited about that. The link is below. All right, with that stuff aside, let's get into the lesson. The tune I'm going to start teaching today is called Let Me Fall in A, and it's one of the tunes that got me into old time music and banjo in the first place. I grew up, as many of you know, in rural Vermont down a dirt road. I didn't have access to a lot of music, but I did live not far over the hill from a really amazing fiddler. His name is John Specker. He is a force of nature. He blew my mind. I can remember him playing Let Me Fall at a town fair, and my soul was never the same. The guys, if you're out there, John, thank you. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to listen. And in particular, we're going to use a reference track. And that reference track is Let Me Fall from the Camp Creek Boys album. Just do a Google search. It's on Spotify. You can find it on YouTube, iTunes, whatever. However you can get it, get it. The banjo player on that album is Kyle Creed, and he is amazing. I mean, it is a dream team of old-time players. If you want to hear the best of the best, listen to this album. It is so good. It's one of my favorite old-time recordings of all time. So Kyle Creed is the banjo player, and we're going to take a lot of cues from him. His banjo is really hard to hear on this track, so you've got to squint with your ears, but that's by design. I didn't want to assign something that the banjo was crystal clear on because we're going to take some liberties. If you want a clearer banjo and fiddle version, I played this song and recorded it on my album Sinful to Flirt, which you can purchase, and that helps fund the channel as well. My students are familiar with the fact that I don't usually teach a tune linearly. I don't start at the first note and end at the last note. Instead, I like to extract the most difficult passage from a tune or an arrangement, learn that as a loop like we did in Banjo Blitz, and then weave it back in musically to the entire piece. And there's a reason for this. What I've observed from people, including myself over the years, is that we gravitate, when we're learning a tune, to the easiest stuff, and we leave the hard stuff for the end. And sometimes we leave the hard stuff, we just leave it, which is bad. So this flies in the face of our instinct. This is hard. If you feel like you are struggling, that is good. This is hard. This is difficult. The quest is difficult, and that's by design. And so we do the hard stuff first, and then easy. We get the ball rolling downhill instead of pushing it uphill. Okay, so here's the pattern. First half of the pattern is from Rollin 8s in Banjo Blitz. Go check that out. I'm going to play it slowly now. And so we're taking that pattern from Rollin 8s and I'm tacking on a double stop C-shaped series of double thumbs. Nice and slow. The second half of that is just a series of double thumbs on the second and first string. Strings are 2, 1, 2, 1. And now let's get this thing going a little bit faster. faster. And a little bit faster. And should I? I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna try it. Oof. I fudged that a little bit, let's be honest. Okay, the reason why I show you that speed is not to show off. It's not to say that you should be able to play it that fast. It's not to say that you ever want to play it that fast in a tuned setting. But you guys know how I feel about speed. Speed is your friend. If you can play this stuff fast and clean, you know you've got it and you know you can flow with it. So there are two important things to think about here. Being able to play this at a crawl is incredibly important. You need to be able to play this thing very slowly, as slow as when I played it to demo it to you at the top of this lesson. But you also need to be able to play it smoothly at a high tempo. You are expanding your headroom that way. So if you walk into a jam or a performance and you want to play this tune, you know that you can play at 60% of your speed, which will still be pretty fast and a nice dance tempo and not even be close to your speed cap. And having that headroom makes you feel comfortable. And being comfortable with the instrument makes you sound really good and look like you know what the heck you're doing. That's why I'm an advocate for working at various tempos and why I think playing fast is an incredible boon to your overall ability to play the instrument. Okay, so 2 things you're going to do for homework every day. Remember, this is an everyday task, an everyday thing. Banjo Quest is for every day. You're going to be listening to the Camp Creek Boys album, Especially Let Me Fall, and you're going to be cycling this pattern in preparation for next week. The other thing I want you to do is, this is a little mnemonic device for you, think thumb. I want your thumb to sound rich and full. Use your deep listening skills on this and make sure that that thumb stroke is big, round, and full. If I were to extract the thumb stroke and put it under an oral microscope, I would see a beautiful, or hear a beautiful, rich, round note that could stand on its own in the phrase. So focus on the thumb, think thumb. And that's going to be something that we're going to be talking about more and more as we progress. Also keep in mind, I'm not just teaching you this tune. There is a meta lesson in this module, and see if you can figure it out. Okay, that's it. I'm going to do a little bonus video for my patrons. For everybody else, I'm signing off. I will see you next week on Banjo Quest.